Happy New Year, everyone. Most of us are glad probably to see the back of 2022, and now we've got 2023, which hopefully is going to be a very exciting year for many of us. Now, you'll have lots and lots of people over the next week or two predicting what's going to happen in 2023, which of course is a bit of a mug's game. Some of them will be economists, some of them will be researchers at some of the big estate agents and commercial agencies, but you won't get many people like me doing it. People who have been in the property industry 40 odd years and who have developed properties in over 80 different towns and cities across the UK. So I feel I'm qualified to speak on the subject. Whether I get it right or not is another matter. And of course, the truth is no one really knows. All we can use is our experience. I've survived 3 property recessions over my career, and I'm using that experience to predict what's going to happen this year. I think my predictions last year were pretty good. So here we go. Obviously, it's been a very, very interesting last 3 months of this year that's just gone. So from September onwards, 2020 was very difficult. The market changed dramatically. We could all see it happening earlier on in the year, certainly on the more commercial side of the larger property developments and so on. What's going to happen? Well, I think transactions are going to be down by a maximum of 50%. Remember that last year, up till September, transactions were very, very buoyant. There was lots of property transactions completing. In other words, properties completing. From September onwards, it still wasn't bad. But don't forget, the reason for that was a lot of the people who were looking to buy a house or a flat already had mortgage offers, and they had to spend the money, if you like, in other words, buy a property quite quickly in order to retain their interest, the amount they were paying interest to the building societies, because they have an offer out which lasts 3 months. When that ran out, the new offer was double interest-wise what they'd been offered before, virtually double. So that's what you've got to remember. So although the stats from September to December look quite good, the reason for that was because there was outstanding mortgage offers that people were running around trying to buy a property so they could take advantage of that. Now from January onwards, that won't be the case. There won't be any outstanding mortgage offers, and I think the first 6 months of next year are going to be very, very tough indeed. Very tough indeed. I think from then on things will improve for the rest of the year, because I think people will get used to the new interest rates. I think we're coming into the summer, which is always a better time of year for everyone, and so on. But the first 6 months of this year are going to be super, super tough. I can see transactions being down maximum by half over the period of the whole year. And I can also see properties dropping 20% in their value in some areas. Now, of course, it's a micro market, so in some areas they won't drop at all. In other areas they may well drop more than 20%. But on average, 15 to 20% seems about right to me. Bear in mind that if you've got a mortgage, you're now paying double what you would have been paying a year ago. So if you are looking to move up the ladder and buy a bigger property, it's even more of a double whammy than that, because you are going to borrow more money in the first place. So it really is difficult going forward if you're a homeowner wishing to purchase another property. And of course, if you're a first-time buyer, your affordability has halved. So your affordability is halved. Now, where are interest rates going to end up? I think they're going to end up about 4.5%. I don't think they're going to end up at 6.5% like some people were predicting back in September, October. Things have settled down. Rishi Sunak, our Prime Minister, has done a decent job on that side. He's calmed the whole situation down. So I think you'll find that interest rates will settle this year at 4.5%. Now that might mean you're still paying more than that, of course, for your house mortgage. And of course, if you're looking on a buy-to-let basis, you may well be paying more than that as well. So that's the thing to remember. the market is super tough. First time buyers, as we've said, have got a big problem. Buy-to-let market's interesting because the buy-to-let market, again, you know, if you've got a repayment mortgage which is up for renewal, you know, you're going to pay double what you were for it. And of course, if you've got a bank loan or an overdraft facility with a bank, that's more of a problem than it is on if you've got a buy-to-let long-term loan. Yes, the amount you're paying will go up, but you know, you've got it for 20, 25 years. If you've got an overdraft facility with a bank, then that's bigger problems because the banks will say, well, we were lending you 70%, we're now going to lend you 55%. And by the way, we're going to revalue it. And oh, it's come down in value. You need to put some more money into the property to reduce the borrowings so it stays within the banking mandate. And of course, if you can't do that, the only choice you've got to do is sell. A lot of people sell. Guess what happens? Prices come down further. So you have got to be careful, really, really careful. The large house builders have really shown the way here because what they've done in the last 3 months is close sites because they work on pre-sales. If they're not getting any pre-sales, so they put the show flat up, show house up, they build the first 20. If they're not selling the first 20 or the next phase, they're not going to keep building. So what they've done, they've closed sites looking to see what happens. And I think a lot of these sites will reopen again in April time. And they are the sharp end of the business. They are very, very experienced developers, obviously, national house builders, ruthless, absolutely ruthless. And that's what they've done. Now, small house builders like us, we're all considered small developers, house builders. If we build less than 250 houses a year, we're all in the same boat. So, you know, if you've got a development, you're halfway through it, you need to complete it so it's worth what you hope it's worth. You can't stop halfway through on all the rest of it when they're half finished. So phasing becomes more and more important. You know, we've got a development in Birmingham. I've finished the first phase, sold them all. I was going to then continue and do the rest of it as a second phase. Now I'm looking to phase that in 2 further phases because I want to know that if I build another 4 or 5, I can sell them. And before I then move on to another 4 or 5 and so on. So caution is the name of the game if you're a house builder. You might find in the area you're in, there's no reduction. But of course, build costs have gone up. And if prices do come down, that margin you had of 20, 25, 30% can easily get eroded to not very much. So if you're a house builder, if you're looking to build, if you haven't started, I'm not sure I would start the development. I'd hang on, depending what profit there is in it. And of course, remember, these estate agents will tell you there's still plenty of, you know, the prices haven't dropped in the area and all the rest of it. You've got to make that decision yourself. Don't rely on anyone else making that decision for you. It's super important. The other people that have got a big say in what happens to the property market this year is the government. Remember, politics and property are very, very closely linked, incredibly closely linked. And you've got the levelling up. This is the new bill coming out from the government, the levelling up bill. And that will, I think, cause some problems in some areas. One of the areas I think it's going to cause a massive problem in is no fault evictions. Now, what they're saying, the government, are they going to make it impossible for landlords to get tenants out of properties if they've done nothing wrong? In other words, you can't serve them 2 months notice like you can now, or you won't be able to, and get them vacant. Now, that's a massive problem. If you want to sell your property, you're reducing the amount of people who want to buy that property by 90% if you're only dealing with other investors because you can't get the tenant out. Whereas, of course, if you get it vacant, you've got the whole market to sell to, all the first-time buyers, second-time buyers, whoever. If you can't get those tenants out, you've got a problem. And I think those properties may go down up to 30%. Because if you need to sell and you've got a tenant, the tenant may not let people view very easily. The investment market certainly, you know, now I think with the investment market you need to be putting 40, 50% in probably to be able to borrow on a buy to let, not 60, 70% loan to value like you got before, because don't forget your mortgage rates have gone up a lot and they'll want 100% cover on what the amount you're paying to the bank or the building society is. They want 100% cover. So whatever your repayments are, they want to see double that coming in every month in terms of rent. So that is another big problem. So the government have got a lot to say in all this, and they've also got the town fund, and this is the fund they've given out about 25 million to about 110 towns across the UK. So if you're looking to invest in a town somewhere in the UK, find out whether they've got the town fund, because if they have, then that town is going to be regenerated to the tune of 25 million by the government, and that might kickstart other developments in that area. So that's quite a useful tip to know, I think. Second half of the year, I think people are going to get used, like I've said, used to the increase in mortgage and so on, and things will settle down more. And I think it will be easier. I think inflation will be coming down. I think the mortgage rate will be, as I said, stuck then at 4.5%. So people will know where they're going, and when you know where you're going, you can be more confident about a purchase. But I think until then, I think you've got to be super careful. Now, I know what you're going to ask me, and I get so many people on Twitter, Instagram, and messages on this YouTube channel where they say to me, you know, where do I find these bargains? It's all right, you, John, talking about bargains all the time, but where do you find them? Well, for me, I'm launching my recovery fund, where at the moment all I'm really doing is buying off receivers who have got developers who have got into financial trouble. The banks have foreclosed on them. Part finish sites, so we're talking about part finish before. It's so important that with a part finish site, get something finished and completed so you can sell that and give the bank some confidence. If you are in trouble, if you need help, this recovery fund I've got, we can step in, we can get the project finished for you, rather than the bank foreclosing on you. I am dealing with banks, I'm dealing with administrators and receivers who are appointed by banks to sell property. Where do they all end up in the end? Auctions, nearly always auctions. And one of the reasons why I've gone out to a funder and got a large facility to buy at auction, because in the next 2 years, buying at auction, there's where the bargains are going to start to come. You'll see the bargains first in auctions, always in auctions first, and that's so important to know where to go. But remember, none of this is a quick fix. This won't be sorted out in a few months. The market won't suddenly bounce back in a few months' time. You know, property is like a big ship, a big boat. It takes a long time to stop and turn the other way. And you will have opportunities in the next 12 months. There is no rush. Don't go rushing out buying tomorrow, because you might find in 6 months' time it will be even cheaper. Of course, if it's an absolute fantastic bargain, you've got to go out and buy. We're all deal junkies. I'm a deal junkie. I want to buy. And this year we bought 4 or 5 good sites, and I'm pleased, or last year I should say, and I'm pleased what we bought. But remember, someone said to me the other week at one of the events I was speaking at, well, you've gone and bought developments. Why should we wait? And I said, well, one of the reasons I bought those because they are sophisticated sites, they're complicated sites, and of course the complicated sites have been in trouble for the last year or two. The simpler sites where people get in and out quicker are only just coming available on the market to buy now, you know, in trouble with problems and so on. So there's no rush. If you need any help or advice, I'm always available. I've got a few places left on my mentorship for the year. So if anyone, and that's a one-to-one mentorship with me, or consultancy. If you've got a development that's got difficulties and you want me to step in and help you, I can do that as well. I've also got my seminars. I've got 4 events next year, only 4 because I'm busy doing everything else. They're all in London. 2-day seminars about, you know, buying, selling, investing, commercial, residential auctions. So if any of you want to come to those, then please book on my website, johnhowardproperty.com. And I've also got my 2 TV shows, Property Elevator. Some of you will be delighted to know the 5th series comes out towards the end of January, so not long now. And then Property Graduate we're going to film a third series of that. The two winners from the past series have done incredibly well. Very, very impressive people. And I'm looking for another impressive person this year. So if I can help any of you in any way, please do let me know. Please be careful. Funding will be available. There will be funding from banks and building societies. You don't need to worry about that. Funding will be there, but just remember, they won't lend you as much as they would have done last year. So be careful, and I will give you quarterly updates during the year. And if anything dramatic happens, I'll jump on YouTube and let you know my advice on that. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing, then please, my Twitter is a very professional Twitter. It comes up with, or I speak about all these sort of property industry issues. I've got Instagram as well, of course, and of course YouTube, as you know. So thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.